talk to some people, he looked different. There's a difference when that young bull is out there spinning that ball. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Difference. I'm talking about football. I ain't talking about no media.
From being the 144th draft pick to a confirmed starting QB, Shedeur Sanders has earned the respect of his head coach and staff. But here's what the Browns veterans are saying about him.
He's a great young quarterback coming to the league. I think about tremendous progress. He's a great dad. I'm excited to have him on.
To say Shedeur Sanders has had an eventful first A+ months of 2025 would be an understatement. Initially, there was hype about him being a possible first-round pick leading up to the NFL draft, followed by a well-publicized drop to the 5th round, where he was taken 144th overall by the Browns.
Well, I expected to be back down here at some point today to talk about the drafting of Shedeur Sanders, or worst case scenario for him, the non-drafting in any of the 7 rounds by Shedeur Sanders. I didn't expect to be talking about Shedeur Sanders' selection by the Cleveland Browns. With pick number 144 in round 5, Sanders becomes the 5th quarterback on the Cleveland depth chart. It would have made a lot more sense if they hadn't taken Dillon Gabriel in round 3. It would have made a lot more sense if they hadn't traded for Kenny Pickett.
GM Andrew Berry took a gamble on Sanders, despite owner Jimmy Haslam admitting he wasn't sold on the pick. Berry saw something special, a raw talent with a chip on his shoulder, ready to prove the haters wrong. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has been singing his praises, calling him a very, very hard worker who's keeping the main thing the main thing.
There was a Deion Sanders, Coach Prime speech that he gave at a press conference. I think he was sitting up there, and I heard it. I was like, needed to hear that. Appreciate you, Prime. That just kind of kept him moving. And I'm like, at that, I was in the middle of my house. I think I was walking to my bedroom. It was like,
What'd you do?
Late last night. I stopped in the middle of it, and I was like, Shedeur's been hearing that his whole life. Shedeur's been hearing these messages his entire life. Feels like he would be prepared for basically any situation mentally. You would think that. Now, once you experience it, it's obviously different. But I think listening to Coach Prime say, like, this is Shedeur Sanders we're talking about here. Whenever people were asking a lot of questions, it's like he was saying, you don't think that I've taught him how to be a professional? That's basically what you're saying. I'm intrigued to see how it works out. Dillon Gabriel, not talked about at all. 3rd round pick, drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Kenny Pickett, last guy to touch ball in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was.
And Joey Flacco, last guy to take the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. Joey Flacco. A lot of storylines obviously developing. Go ahead, Colin, man.
Yeah.
Mary Kay Catt, a respected Browns insider, broke the silence, saying the good news for Sanders is that he performed so well over the final 2 weeks of spring ball that he'll come back for training camp with a legitimate shot to compete for the starting job.
According to Mary Kay Cabot, she does think when camp starts today that he has a legitimate shot to be the starting quarterback. So in my life, kind of being around the NFL, 30 years of doing this talk show stuff, covering the NFL, having sources and reporting on it, I don't think there's ever been a player where there's a wider variance of opinion between the media and NFL executives. The media, myself included, saw him as a B prospect, a good solid in a very, very weak quarterback draft class, certainly arguable 1st round prospect, maybe a 2nd or 3rd round talent, but you know, solid, good family DNA, moved well, historically accurate.
Shedeur didn't show up to minicamp, but instead, he showed out. A name more famous for his father than his future. But what if the NFL got it completely wrong? What if Shedeur Sanders, the overlooked rookie with a chip on his shoulder the size of First Energy Stadium, is quietly rewriting the Cleveland Browns quarterback plans before a single preseason snap is even played? The league may have laughed when he slid down the 2025 NFL draft board, but no one's laughing now. Because behind closed doors, in empty practice fields and late-night film sessions, something wild is happening. Shedeur Sanders is making a real push to become QB1, and the Browns coaching staff is paying attention.
Honestly, it's quite beautiful how Shedeur is gradually changing the narrative, and here's where it gets even more interesting. The Browns veterans had a lot to say after training with Shedeur. Due to public opinion and perception, Shedeur has been tainted by the media as arrogant, difficult to work with, and all sorts. Y'all remember during the draft the reports concerning Shedeur were some of the worst. Even an unnamed NFL quarterbacks coach from a team with a top 7 draft pick labeled Sanders as brash and arrogant after a team interview at the NFL Combine, according to NFL insider Josina Anderson.
Worst formal interview I've ever been in my life.
That's even outside of football. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is, he's not that good. This is a wild, wild quote. Brew, do you want the first crack at this?
Well, look, I like Shedeur. You guys know I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. I think he has a lot of the intangibles. You know, I'm a big intangibles guy with quarterbacks because a lot of the great ones have the intangibles, not just the physical.
It's also the only way to be a fan of Brock Purdy. You have to love the
Yeah,
things
no,
that you
I
can't
think
be
Brock,
measured.
I mean, he can run, but, you know, we won't get to a Brock thing. But Shedeur is a leader. I think he's a good leader.
Yeah.
I think he is a smart quarterback. He's accurate. And so I think he's obviously got confidence. I'm not even talking about cockiness. He's tough. He's confident. Like,
The question we're all asking now is what is going on with Shedeur Sanders? And so the floor is yours. Maybe you can make sense of this free fall with what was at one point the top-rated quarterback in this draft class.
Yeah, see, I think at this point in time, this really isn't a football discussion any longer. This is a personal discussion. This is about it's a fit discussion. It's whether or not teams are just comfortable with everything that comes along with Shedeur in terms of who he is as a person, all the people that are surrounding him in terms of his inner circle, and whether or not teams deem that to be something that they're comfortable with. Right or wrong, that's the only conclusion you can really come to at this point. Because, look, obviously it's a subjective argument as to what his actual physical skills are on the football field. But I think if you're trying to be objective about it and remove everything else surrounding this young man that comes along with him, he can play the game of football. Okay, this is a guy who's extremely accurate. He's extremely mobile. He has a lot of mental horsepower. He played the game at a high level.
Many also speculated that all that was a legitimate reason why he slid from the first round draft potential. However, with Shedeur turning up with the Browns at the preseason, no doubt the concerns were most likely in the minds of the Browns management and staff. How was he going to turn up was the most likely question on their mind. But so far so good. It's safe to say that Shedeur has been turning them from doubters to believers and giving them positive signs to believe in. Head coach Stefanski was one of the earliest to catch up on how well he's turned up for camp and preseason.
A great kid, and whether it's a following that he's earned, I mean, that's something that he's done a great job of interacting with fans. And but he is a great kid. You guys will get to know him more. He's working like crazy, just like all the guys. He's another young man. These rookies, you know, my office is downstairs. As they got to walk by my office as they come in. They come in early, and Shedeur, just like all those guys, he's in there early. He's getting his work done. So he's working really hard. I like everything there.
The praises from the head coach is followed by others from reporters, unnamed backroom staff. However, this time they're from his fellow teammates and veterans.
Yeah, just to kind of give you an understanding of where things are at right now. By the way, some news to this: Kenny Pickett dealing with a hamstring issue that actually could open this up and settle this debate right now, because to this point, Joe Flacco has been getting the first team reps. Kenny Pickett also getting some of those. The rookie's really not getting much in terms of first team reps at all. Shedeur Sanders getting some second team reps, but I think the concern here is that Shedeur Sanders is not getting all the first team reps. Why isn't he the starting quarterback yet?
The QB position has been such a debate in the past weeks, and this is largely due to the depth of talent in the position. Among the available QBs, 2 are veterans and have been on the Browns team for the longest.
I would be doing everything to see if Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders could be a starting quarterback for me to start this year, and then see if we struck gold. Because then we got a real shot for a quick retool next year.
Yep, I agree. But the possibility exists that none of these guys are it. But there also is the possibility that one of the guys is it.
But Shefty, my point is this. We know Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett aren't it. We know that.
And you know what's interesting? Look, the Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders thing, you really think that the front office is sitting there going, look, we drafted Dylan in the 3rd, we drafted Shedeur in the 5th. Do you really think they want to see the 5th round kind of like beat out the first round guy? I mean, the 3rd round guy? No, hell no, they don't want that to happen because it makes them look bad.
Right.
But if Shedeur outplays Dylan Gabriel, then that's the way it is. Like, then the 5 beats out the 3.
True, if he gets enough reps in time to beat out the...
Aside from the doubts concerning Shedeur that was stated earlier, there is a huge question mark on how well Shedeur was going to cope with the pressure of competing with others for his position. There was also concerns on how well Shedeur could get along with his teammates, and talk about handling the competition properly. Anonymous NFL coaches and executives reported concerns about Shedeur's character, which some linked to teammate relations. Another NFC scouting director noted Sanders might go on to face a culture shock in the NFL locker room, as he's been insulated by his father Deion Sanders' influence and has had significant control over offensive game plans, implying potential challenges in adapting to team dynamics. Former Jet scout Daniel Kelly highlighted a clip of Sanders shoving an offensive lineman during a game at Colorado, questioning, is this the kind of teammate NFL players want? But all of that seems to be ebbing away, with reports stating that Shedeur has had a perfect start to his life with his teammates.
Just having him in the meeting room brings a great personality in there. It's fun to have. I sit right behind him. Joe is to my left, to Shedeur's left, and to see those two bounce ideas off of each other is hilarious. Joe will say a few things, and I'll be like, Joe, Shedeur wasn't born. He wasn't born then. So it's just, he's got great energy, great kid, working his tail off, and he's playing really well.
We live. Let's set the tone.
Yep. Hey, hold on.
Let's set the tone in this wrist. Let's get in the end zone. Here we go. What's it?
Here we go.
What's that? What's that?
Good job. Don't find out about yourself. You don't find out about a football team when things are easy. You don't, all right? It's when hard, when you're going through something. Every single day I'm finding out about what this team is willing to do, what you're willing to push through. Push through it. Team on three. 1, 2, 3.
Great film to watch. Much, you're a fearless leader. Let's go, baby. QB's on 3. 1, 2, 3. QB's.
That's not all. Shedeur has also been hanging out with the vets. He was seen at Njoku softball a month ago.
Shedeur Sanders.
And while at camp, they were seen trading jokes together and laughing.
Did you listen to Njoku's wild outbursts?
You making sense sometimes, though.
Sometimes I don't.
He's just saying that, bro.
No, sometimes I don't.
He's just saying
sometimes
that.
I be
Hey,
just.
I appreciate the receiver.
Sometimes I be just talking. Sometimes I be saying.
Nah, I feel that.
You gonna know. Like when I be spazzing, you gonna know if I'm serious or not. You know what I mean? Because I do be crushing out. That's a fact.
Bro, crushing out not cool, bro.
I'm not saying it is, but it is what it is.
That doesn't look like a dude with teammate issues. Former NFL star Chad Johnson on his Nightcap podcast shared that he spoke with Ward, who said Sanders looked different in the minicamp, emphasizing his command and precision on the field.
I got a couple of young bulls out there. I talked to Denzel Ward. I talked to some, but I can't say the name. But anyway, I done talked to some people. He looked different. There's a difference when that young bull is out there spinning that ball. You hear me? Mm-hmm. Difference. I'm talking about football. I ain't talking about no media and all that hoopla and all them, on Twitter, they putting up the numbers. Some he was 10 for 12 for 2 touchdowns. I'm talking about when he's at the helm, he looks different. Whether he's going with the first team, second team, or third team. It don't matter. I understand getting drafted in the 5th round. All that means nothing when it's time to play football and that whistle blows. He looks different than the rest of the competition.
Also, ESPN's Cleveland Chris O'Dodge noted that Browns players recognize Sanders' talent, stating, "You can't fool the players. You can't fool the locker room. The players are going to know who the best guy is."
You can lie to a lot of people. You can't lie to the guys in the locker room that see him at practice every single day.
Cool.
And
Yes.
I think that's the interesting dynamic, because now Shedeur Sanders will be in a position where he'll get more reps in practice, especially with the first team. And we'll see how things play out from that standpoint. Because you can't put the genie back in the bottle once the other players see it on the field.
Totally agree. I just don't think that necessarily we've seen that yet. We haven't had an opportunity to, and I guess maybe that's Mike T's
That's by
point.
design.
But
I think that's by design.
Because they know
I think that's by design.
This goes on to show that Shedeur is steadily impressing everyone, even the vets.